In the ancient kingdom of Israel, during the 9th century BCE, a period of profound spiritual and moral turmoil unfolded under the reign of King Ahab. Ahab, who ruled from approximately 874 to 853 BCE, ascended the throne as the son of Omri, inheriting a politically stable but religiously divided nation. His marriage to Jezebel, a Phoenician princess from the city of Sidon, sealed a strategic alliance with Phoenicia. Boosting trade and economic ties, Jezebel aggressively promoted the worship of Baal, the Canaanite god of fertility and storms, leading to the construction of temples and altars dedicated to him, while suppressing the prophets of Yahweh, the God of Israel. This era marked a shift from the unified kingdom under David and Solomon to the divided kingdoms of Israel in the north and Judah in the south. With Israel facing internal strife and external threats from neighbors like Aram and Assyria. Against this backdrop of idolatry and royal weakness, a drought ravaged the land, exacerbating economic hardship as agriculture, the backbone of the Israelite economy, collapsed without rain. But it also introduced foreign influences that eroded Israel's monotheistic traditions. Into this crisis stepped Elijah the Tishbite, a prophet from the rugged hills of Gilead, east of the Jordan River. His origins are obscure, but his mission was clear: to confront the king's apostasy and call the nation back to faithfulness. In a bold audience before Ahab, Elijah declared, "As the Lord, the God of Israel, lives whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word." This pronouncement, rooted in the covenantal warnings of Deuteronomy, where drought was a divine punishment for disobedience, set in motion a 3.5-year famine that historians and biblical scholars date around 870 BCE. Elijah then vanished, directed by God to hide by the brook Cherith, a seasonal stream in the Jordan Valley. There, in isolation, he survived on water from the brook and food delivered by ravens, bread and meat twice a day, a miraculous provision that underscored themes of divine sustenance amid scarcity. This period highlighted the cultural reliance on natural resources in ancient Near Eastern societies, where wadis like Cherith provided vital water, but also the technological limitations, as there were no advanced irrigation systems to mitigate drought. As the brook eventually dried up, symbolizing the widespread devastation, God instructed Elijah to journey northward to Zarephath, a coastal town in Phoenician territory, modern-day Sarafand in Lebanon. Zarephath, under Sidonian control, was a hub of maritime trade, exporting timber, purple dye and glassware, but it too suffered from the regional drought, which affected the entire Levant, disrupting grain production and leading to famine. Politically, this move placed Elijah in enemy territory, as Jezebel's homeland was a center of Baal worship, complete with elaborate rituals involving animal sacrifices and fertility rites. Yet, it was here that God had prepared a widow to sustain him, illustrating the cross-cultural reach of divine providence. Upon arriving at Zarephath's gates, Elijah encountered the widow gathering sticks, a poignant image of desperation in a time when fuel for cooking was scarce. He asked her for water, a simple request in a parched land, and she obliged, reflecting the ancient hospitality customs shared across Semitic cultures. But when he requested bread, she revealed her dire straits. "I don't have any bread. Only a handful of flour in a jar and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die." Her words captured the economic toll of the drought, where staple foods like barley flour and olive oil, essential to Mediterranean diets, became luxuries, and widowhood in patriarchal societies often meant poverty without male providers. Elijah responded with a promise: "Don't be afraid, go home and do as you have said, But first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, the jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land. This challenge tested her faith, drawing on Israelite prophetic traditions where obedience preceded blessing. The widow complied, baking the bread for Elijah first, an act of radical trust that defied survival instincts. Miraculously, her supplies replenished daily, providing enough for her household and the prophet. This ongoing miracle, lasting throughout the drought, highlighted the contrast between Baal, the impotent storm god who failed to bring rain, and Yahweh, who provided in hidden ways. Culturally, it subverted Phoenician reliance on Baal for agricultural fertility, showing God's sovereignty extended beyond Israel's borders. Elijah lived with the widow and her son, turning her humble home into a sanctuary amid regional chaos. Economically, while surrounding areas faced starvation and migration, this small family experienced sustained provision, a microcosm of divine economy, where scarcity birthed abundance through faith, but trials persisted. After some time, the widow's son fell gravely ill and died, plunging her into grief. She confronted Elijah. "What do you have against me, man of God? Did you come to remind me of my sin and kill my son?" This accusation reflected ancient beliefs linking misfortune to divine judgment, common in both Israelite and Canaanite worldviews. Elijah, moved by compassion, carried the boy to his upper room and prayed fervently, stretching himself over the child 3 times. A ritual act echoing sympathetic magic in Near Eastern healing practices. Though empowered by Yahweh, he cried, "Lord my God, let this boy's life return to him." God answered, reviving the child, an event that prefigured later resurrections in biblical narratives and affirmed Elijah's prophetic authority. Handing the living boy to his mother, Elijah said, "Look, your son is alive." Overwhelmed, she declared, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth." This resurrection miracle had profound implications. Regionally, it demonstrated Yahweh's power in Baal's own territory, undermining Phoenician religion and foreshadowing Elijah's later confrontation on Mount Carmel in 1 Kings 18, where fire from heaven consumed a sacrifice, leading to the slaughter of Baal's prophets and the end of the drought. Politically, it bolstered opposition to Ahab and Jezebel's regime, contributing to the eventual downfall of their dynasty through revolts led by figures like Jehu around 841 BCE. Culturally, the story integrated into Jewish oral traditions, later canonized in the Hebrew Bible, influencing themes of widow care in Deuteronomy and prophetic roles in post-exilic Judaism. Its legacy extended globally through Christianity and Islam. Jesus referenced the widow in Luke 4 to illustrate God's grace to outsiders, while Islamic traditions honor Elijah as a prophet. Theologically, it emphasized faith over ritual, provision in famine, and resurrection hope, inspiring art, literature, and humanitarian efforts in times of crisis. The tale of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath endures as a testament to resilience amid adversity. In an age of ancient superpowers clashing, Assyria rising, Egypt waning, it shows how individual acts of faith can ripple through history, challenging empires and ideologies. Today, as we face modern droughts, famines, and divisions driven by climate change and geopolitical strife, this story urges us to trust in unseen provisions, extend hospitality across divides, and recognize that true abundance often begins with sacrificial giving. What small act of obedience might unlock miracles in our own barren landscapes? The widow's unnamed legacy invites us to ponder, in scarcity, do we hoard or share, despair or believe?